Traditional baseball development is obsolete and dead. Velocity isn't just how fast a baseball travels, it's mindset and habits training, learning strategies, success routines, and so much more. I created this podcast for parents of middle school and high school baseball players. Baseball Velocity School. Baseball Velocity School.
COVID's really changed so much for high school players, probably going to change a lot just because of the trickle effect for even current, 7th and 8th graders here down the road. There are so many players. There's so many dynamics that have changed with transfer rules for college players. There's a transfer portal that the way it is now did not exist in the past. There was a lot more limitations on being able to change schools and really select some different things. So high school players are now competing with the backlog of the COVID situation, which gave all the players a year extension at the collegiate level. And so there's a backup there that will eventually flush out, but they're also dealing with the ability for schools to grab players from different colleges because those players want to transfer and they're seasoned and they played and they're at a different level than your son would be graduating high school. So there are a lot more hurdles, and I think it's going to just continue to get harder and harder for them. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about today is, being a favorite, kind of a coach's favorite kind of deal where sometimes players will go, oh, that coach, he likes this other guy. Speaking just on the fact of be the guy that coaches gravitate to and they like and they have the traits. And so we're not talking about just the physical. So the game has now risen, I believe, like 5 levels because there are so many different opportunities to fill the college rosters that with players in a lot of different levels, maybe not the top 5 Division I programs that are after the top 20 ranked prospects in the country. But when we start going to mid-major Division I, we start going Division II, Division III, junior colleges, and AIA schools. What you will start to see is there are enough players that have the XYZ physical metric that you have, that have the ability, that have the game savviness. They have all of that. And then it goes down to, okay, let me see if this guy is dependable. Let me talk to his high school coach. Let me call his select coach. Let me call over there at Velocity and see, hey, did they do all their workouts on time? Were they guys that responded to your text messages? Are there guys when you asked them to do something, they did it? When they wanted something like, hey, coach, I need to put on some weight. And we asked them to write a written log to kind of document how many calories you're taking in and really making an effort. And then if they bring it back, we'll look at it. And then they didn't because they don't care. Then all of a sudden, those are the type of things. It's like, hey, we don't need that guy. We can have a guy with all the physical attributes and all the baseball skills that you have, but I'm just going to look for guys who always go to class, are enthusiastic, are good leaders. They don't have attitudes. And fortunately, with our program, it's so minimal. It's almost it is zero because the players that come into our program, we screen. And at the end of the evaluation, there's players that just aren't the right fits because life is too short. And there are too many players to have players that are bitter and bad attitude and half glass empty guys. And all those different things that bring down the rest of the team and the culture and the enthusiasm of others. And so that's one of the big factors. And so you're going to notice that those players are going to get weeded out. You're going to notice that when you see, where it used to be common, where maybe a player is a great player, but maybe they don't have the greatest body language on the mound, but he had some great physical attributes. Those guys somehow landed at some place and later washed out eventually for those reasons, usually, statistically. But I think you won't even see that progress up the ladder even to the next phase because there are already guys that can do all those things and aren't displaying those things, those negative traits. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of things to look for, but to play at the next level and to be the guy that coaches want around them, it's no longer just going to be, and it's no longer just going to be about the physical attributes and the skill of the game. And it's not that it's always been like that, but I feel like now there are more opportunities for coaches and more players than ever before in the way this is working, and less spots. So the supply is bigger and the supply is smaller and the demand is bigger. And so now we really start to zone in on what are all the other little things. And so we're going to start to see those players really start getting weeded out of the game a whole lot quicker. Now, the only reason I made this is because all of those things are controllable. And so because they're controllable and because it's not a skill thing, those players that have those negative attributes that get weeded out of the game, it's a choice. And, they deserve to get weeded out of the game because it's a choice. It's not a God-given talent. Anybody can have the great attributes that I talked about on this podcast. And so there's the flip side to that. We'll talk to you later.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to share it with a friend. And don't forget to go to jasonalamo.com to learn all about our middle school and high school baseball mentorship and training program. jasonalamo.com. Check it out. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to share it with a friend. And don't forget to go to jasonalamo.com to learn all about our middle school and high school baseball mentorship and training program. jasonalamo.com. Check it out.